What's up, guys? Chris from One More Cast. So I'm gonna do a tackle talk for the Mayaka cutoff trip. It was a tough day. Whenever I first got up, I seen the moon. I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be a great day. Thought I was gonna get some good topwater bite at the beginning of the day. I got out there, tide was super low. And then when Davey ended up getting out there, that's whenever I'm like, dang, this tide should be moving by now. What's going on? So we both checked the tides, and I realized that I was looking at I was actually looking at the tide for Boca, which the income tide's gonna start there before it hits the Mayaka. So I was actually looking at Boca on the wrong day. So I wasn't paying attention to where I was looking at, and I misjudged the tide. So the tide didn't end up coming in until later, like around 10 o'clock or so. So before that though, I was throwing top water, didn't get any hits on that. My buddy Adam, he ended up catching a trout on top water before I even got out there. But it was just really slow. I wasn't getting anything. I got a few bumps from some smaller snook and even some mangrove snapper, but it's not the fish I was looking for. I was looking to get into some nice quality fish. When you think of the cutoff holds quality fish. You just have to be there at the right time. Some of the biggest fish that I've known people have catching have been from the cutoff. So it's a great place to fish, but if you're not there at the right time, on the right tide, you're not going to catch anything. You're going to catch a bunch of smaller snook, and I was trying to go for some real quality fish. So when I noticed that there was no flowing water, it was starting to get hot, really no breeze, I went to my plan B, which I told myself if I wasn't going to get any luck in the cutoff, I wasn't going to go too deep, and I wasn't going to chase that rabbit hole going all the way into the cutoff. I didn't want to keep going. I was going to stop at a certain point and head back out to the outer walls of the Elgibine. As soon as I came out of the cutoff, bam, trout. Bam, another trout. I got a little bit further outside. I fished the whole wall. Didn't really get much. Once I crossed the Tippecanoe Bay, I ended up, as soon as I went from a depth of 6 to like 4 feet, I hooked into a nice trout, and then I just started hooking in the trout, a bunch of trout. And I actually ended up having, at one point, I was trolling my paddle tail behind me, and I stopped paddling, so my paddle tail was still kind of like, it was still dragging from the wind and the tide bringing me. I threw my mirror lure. Well, I had 2 trout chasing my mirror lure, then all of a sudden my rod behind me bends down because I had a trout on that one also. So I ended up having 2 rods going off at the same time, and I actually lost both fish because I was like, okay, which one? I took too long to decide which one I wanted to commit to. But then I ended up seeing that tarpon. I threw at it, and he did a complete U-turn. I don't know if you can see it in the video or not, but he did a complete U-turn, and he was chasing it. He was chasing my bait, and then I reached up and like itched my nose, and I paused it for too long. And as soon as I did that, and I watched because I was keeping my paddle tail off the ground, and I was just like dragging it. I'd reel and just drag and reel and drag, but it wasn't hitting the ground. As soon as I let off too much and it hit the ground, he turned off, and that's when I seen that it was actual tarpon. But it was definitely a decent sized tarpon that I want to get. Like, that's the size of tarpon I like catching. I've never caught a big tarpon. That's why I tried to go out and do yesterday, but it was so choppy and the waves were so bad in the past that it wasn't gonna happen. But it turned to a better day. It's not the day I wanted, but it did turn to a better day. But I'm gonna go over what I was using. I don't want to keep getting carried away. So this Moonwalker is what I threw first thing this morning. Didn't have any luck on it. I took this off, and when I took that off, once the stun started coming out, I put on an 1/8 ounce trout eye jig head. And on that jig head, I threw on, this is a mirror lure. It's called Mirror Lure Little John. I throw these a lot out in Elgibine. They work really good. I didn't have any luck on it today though. So once I noticed I wasn't having any luck on this, I went ahead and I put on my Miridine. Now I didn't catch anything on this, but I did have some fish bump it. Like I said, I had those trout on it. With these inline hooks, it does wean off smaller fish, so you'll feel them bump it, but you won't really get a good hook set on smaller fish. Now when it comes to bigger fish, quality size fish, this is better. it'll help keep it on. It's better than little tiny treble hooks. This will actually help keep the bigger fish on. I caught that cobia on this. I sight casted that cobia on this, and if it wouldn't have been for these inline hooks, he probably would have pulled the hook with those little treble hooks. Now I'm gonna go over, since I have the rod right here. So I've been trying a new knot, a new setup. So during spring, during summer, that's when you beef up. So during winter and later fall, you you go from throwing 25, 30 pound fluorocarbon, and you usually go down to about 20 pound. That's about what I throw. I throw about 20 pound because redfish, trout, they're not gonna fray up your line. You don't have to worry about it, and it's less visible. So it's easier, it's better to use for redfish and trout. So it actually is less visible for the snook and tarpon also, but with it being 20 pound, a snook, I mean, I've gotten broke off several times using 20 pound, not expecting to see a snook. So I looked up videos, and these guys from Trout Strong, what they do is they tie their 20 pound fluorocarbon on, and then they tie, it's called a blood knot. I don't know if you can see it, but I don't know if you can see that or not, but it goes from 20 pound, and then I've got anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of 30 pound. So what it does is, if you're running through a school of something, it's lower visibility up here. And usually by the time they don't see this, by the time they get here, they're already keying on, they're already committed to the bait. They're already gonna hit this bait. So I started using that. I put a loop knot on all my baits, except for the Texas. Texas is the only one I don't put a loop knot on, but I put a loop knot on all my baits. On my jig heads, I always do that. On my grip pin hooks, I always tie a loop knot on there. It gives the bait way more action. But I have noticed that I've been getting more frequent bites using this method. I get more bites using this method than if I was running straight 30. I'm actually going to do a test though in one of my next videos where I run straight 30. Now I'm going to use this method. I'm going to put 2 1/8 ounce, and I'm going to do it on trout. Trout are easy to catch, so they're easy to catch, and I mean, usually when you find one, you find multiple. So I'm going to do a test where I'm going to tie on 2 of the same exact lures on the same exact Texas eye hooks. I'll probably do 2 beer runs on 2 1/8 ounce Texas hooks, and I'm going to use both my battles, same action rod, same reel, same exact braid, same color braid. Everything is the exact same between these 2 setups. So I'll probably do a test with that just to see how much I'm noticing a difference, but to show you guys that there is actually a difference. So what I also had tied on today was, I didn't have any luck on, is a 4.0 1/8 ounce grip pin hook, and on that I had a beer run scented jerk shad. I didn't have any luck on this. I did have a couple snooks swipe at it, but I didn't have any luck on that. And then also what I had tied on was the 1/8 ounce Texas eye. This is the Glow Eye Texas eye jig head, and I mean, this is what pretty much did everything for me today. 3-inch beer run Z-Man Minnow Z. This is my go-to bait. It always gets it done for me. I mean, my confidence bait. If I don't use this, I'm using Slam Shady. Now yesterday, I'm not doing a tackle talk for the one yesterday. Yesterday I pretty much went out and just wanted to spend time with my friend, and I did make a video out of it, and I asked him if he cared if I made a video out of it, and I did make a video out of it, but it was really just us catching fish, and really just, we were just catching up or whatever, so we weren't really getting too into the baits or anything like that. But I did actually try a new bait yesterday, and it did work out really well. It was a new color. One of my buddies that is a charter captain, he used to charter down here, and now he charters up north a little bit, but he told me to try this Z-Man, this tater salad color. I sight casted a snook with this. I seen the snook swimming, and I actually sight casted a snook with this. He ate it. You guys, I'm posting that video before this one, so you guys would have already seen it, but this actually is a really good color. I like it so far. I caught trout on it. My buddy Pilgrim actually lost a really nice snook on this. So, but that's the end of the tackle talk for today. Hope you guys enjoy these tackle talks still. I know I haven't been doing them lately, but it's just been really short videos. I mean, the bass fishing, I really don't do a tackle talk. Eventually I'll start tackle talk on bass fishing, but like I said, the one with my buddy Pilgrim, I'm not going to do a tackle talk on that one either. It's just, I mean, we just went out to have fun that day. I just pretty much recorded a few fish that we caught, and we actually ended up catching a lot of trout, a few snooks, stuff like that. Lost a bunch of stuff, seen a lot of redfish. Didn't hook any redfish, but I mean, yesterday was a good day. Today was an alright day. I wish I would have done better, but I mean, like I said, you have good days, you have your bad days, you have your in-between days. So hope you guys like this video, and remember, there's always time for one more cast. I'll see you guys later.